the hell was that? Better yet, why would you do that to us? Why would you subject us to that on Christmas? Why would ESPN make us sit through 12 hours of the absolute worst NBA coverage in the history of television? No wonder they are paying an exorbitant amount of money for the rights to broadcast inside the NBA next season. After what we saw on Christmas Day, ESPN would be better off using AI for NBA coverage until Charles Barkley comes in to save this dump of a network. I hear Sports Illustrated has some substandard AI that ESPN could borrow. It would be a hell of a lot better than listening to Malika Andrews. It wouldn't be as visually pleasing, but I'm not tuning into the NBA to see beautiful women. I watch coverage of the NBA to learn something about basketball, learn something about the league. And ESPN gave us 3 panelist Wednesday that couldn't teach us a damn thing about the NBA, or they wouldn't teach us a damn thing about the NBA. The analysis they provided, it was worse than Mina Kimes. How can your analysis be so bad that you're out-analyzed by a pretend analyst? No wonder corporate media is struggling. I watch a lot of NBA YouTubers, guys who are just like me. They're sitting in their home studio talking about the NBA. I get more value in 15 minutes from YouTubers than we got in 12 hours from ESPN. Awful. It was absolutely god awful. And it doesn't make sense. The NBA is the premier league at the worldwide leader in woke. I know ESPN likes to virtue signal. I know they like to brag about being the proud home of the pretend basketball in the WNBA, but the dump needs ESPN to survive. Without ESPN, pretend basketball games return to being broadcast on channel 69.1, secondary CBS affiliate in Des Moines, Iowa, whose signal can only be picked up by wrapping aluminum foil around the big stiff rod. ESPN's doing the WNBA a favor by allowing them to pollute valuable airspace with missed layups and the exciting possibility that a WNBA player might figure out how to dribble the basketball through their legs. But without the NBA, ESPN ceases to exist. The NBA is the most valuable league at the network. ESPN receives, one NFL game a week? College football carries them for 3 or 4 months of the year. Their relationship with Major League Baseball is on life support. They have a deal with the NHL, but no one's watching hockey. The NHL is so irrelevant, they can't convince Eskimos to watch that league. The NBA provides ESPN with a steady supply of content 10 months out of the year. Outside of August and September, the NBA is literally carrying the network, which is why it is unbelievably astounding that ESPN offers the absolute worst coverage of the NBA on television. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. This morning on the second channel, we talked about Cam Newton embarrassing himself by claiming that the WNBA is going to eventually surpass Major League Baseball in popularity. So if you haven't already, head over to the second channel and check it out. Also, just a little update. I've just about finished prepping for the second annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. Gonna be sending the video file to the editor that I hired later this afternoon. I think it's going to be better than last year's edition, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Unless there are unforeseen technical difficulties, the HEF Awards going to go live here on YouTube on New Year's Eve. Credit to Awful Announcing for putting together the clips that I'm about to share with you guys. Apparently, I was not the only one who thought ESPN's coverage of the NBA on Christmas Day was an embarrassment to broadcasting. I have been complaining about ESPN's coverage of this league for years now here on the channel, but it seems like the rest of the mainstream media, they are finally starting to take notice. Coverage started at 11 a.m. Eastern, a full hour before the first game between the Spurs and the Knicks. This should have been an easy matchup to analyze for this particular panel. For years, Stephen A. Smith has been playing the role of a passionate fan of the New York Knicks. My inside sources, they tell me that his stellar performance as a Knicks fan, that is what landed him a recurring role on General Hospital. But the game gets to halftime. It's a little after 1 or so in the afternoon Eastern. The kids have already opened their presents. Everyone's already eaten lunch. Entire family sits on the couch, hoping for a breakdown on what happened in the first half. Malika Andrews sets up Stephen A. with the typical painfully boring question written by the script writers at ESPN. Hey, Stevie, it's me, Malika. That first half from Wemby was amazing. But in your expert opinion, that first half from Victor Wembanyama was blank. I guess ESPN employs the same writers for their NBA coverage that they do for the NFL because just like pretend NFL analyst Mina Kimes, Stephen A. Smith, he begins rambling off a bunch of stats that you could find with a 5-second Google search. But then he starts talking about the defense of Karl Anthony Towns, a notoriously bad defender, a notoriously bad rebounder and shot blocker, who Stevie believes should be defending Wemby. Now, the good news is, at least Stephen A. Smith got his name right. At least this wasn't another situation where Stephen A. Smith was talking about players who haven't been on an NBA roster in decades. Wemby's a real problem here. Pat Riley needs to put Patrick Ewing on him to stop him in the paint. Even though it wasn't that bad, Stevie's analysis was still substandard. Watch it for yourself.
But it doesn't mean that I'm not ticked off, Malika. I'm really sick and tired. I'm really sick and tired of these visitors coming to Madison Square Garden, using it as the big stage for themselves instead of a Knick using it as a big stage. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, you're not. It's not shrinkage here. You're not 6 feet tall. Go out there and be more formidable your damn self. Do something.
You can only get that level of expert analysis from the personalities pretending to be analysts at ESPN. Hey, Stevie, it's me, Malika, again. What should Karl Anthony Towns be doing? He should be doing something, damn it! Yeah, I can say the same thing about ESPN because they should definitely be doing something about their substandard coverage of the NBA. Unfortunately, the embarrassment got even more embarrassing. During halftime of Sixers Celtics, ESPN brought in Bob Myers to extinguish this flaming ass fire. Now, for those that don't know, Bob Myers is a former general manager in the NBA. From 2011 to 2023, he was the architect behind the dynasty in Golden State. This dude is a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time NBA Executive of the Year. If anyone is qualified to analyze the NBA, it's Bob Myers. On a panel featuring Malika Andrews, Stephen A. Smith, and Kendrick Perkins, Bob Myers is the expert, and it's not even close. Matter of fact, when Bob Myers is on set, the trio of Incompetence, they should just shut the hell up and let the only panelist with knowledge educate the audience. Unfortunately, though, Bob Myers could not get a word in because Stevie told him to be quiet as soon as he started talking. According to Stevie, there was something more important to discuss, something far more entertaining to the audience than actual analysis of the NBA. Stevie was going back and forth with his friend Kenny Perkins as to who is the better player between Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Now pay close attention. I want you to pay very close attention. Watch the frustration of Bob Myers. As you're about to see, this is a man who knows that he is aboard the flaming ass fire, and the two dumbasses next to him, they will not let him use the extinguisher. Watch for yourself.
We can't even bring up a conversation like that until they show us the ability to be on the court for a few games together.
And you're right. And they're showing
last but not least, be careful about my opinion. He just showed up to work. He just showed up to work, y'all.
Time out.
Okay.
I was going to say something interesting. Go ahead, say it. When I talk to big guys around the league, the one guy they say they can't handle, that guy, Joel Embiid.
You're right.
Number one in the league.
Well, it's not that many big guys around the league. That's number one. Number two, let me say this. Didn't Joel Embiid tell Tyrese Maxey? Basically,
he nicknamed him the franchise.
I don't care what he nicknamed him.
Oh, come on. Is
just because Joel Embiid said it don't make it so.
Who was we talking about the most last year in the postseason?
Because he was
Embiid or Tyrese Maxey?
This right here is one of the biggest problems at ESPN. The people who actually know something, the Bob Myers, the Tim Leglers, the Zach Lowe's. Hell, Zach Lowe got fired while ESPN was giving pretend NFL analyst Mina Kimes a multi-million-dollar extension. This is one of the biggest problems at the network. The people who actually know something, they are forced to take a back seat to the people who don't know shit about fuck. Later in the night, it's halftime in Nuggets Suns. Normally, during a halftime show, the panel, they're supposed to talk about the first half. You know, the first half of the game that you're watching. Instead of talking about Kevin Durant and Jokic, ESPN, they spent the segment talking about LeBron James. Last I checked, LeBron James doesn't play in Denver or Phoenix. Matter of fact, he's never played in either city unless he was playing for the road team. To make matters worse, Stevie turned the halftime show into a debate about who is the better player again. What in the hell's with these debates about who is the better player? I have a better question. Who cares? Find me one person in Denver or Phoenix who cares about a debate during a halftime show as to who is better between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Last I checked, Michael Jordan hasn't bounced a ball in over 20 years. He was out of the league before LeBron ever played a game. And LeBron James has been in this league for so long, what remaining hair he has left is turning gray. Maybe LeBron needs to link up with the dump divers in the WNBA. I'm sure they could hook him up with complimentary bottles of Just for Men. But Stephen A. turned the halftime show into some doofus debate that you would normally see on First Take. Watch it for yourself.
Look at this. Most 30-point career games. LeBron James just one shy of tying your GOAT
Could we
DNA.
stop? LeBron James is phenomenal. He's great. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He's not Michael Jordan. LeBron James in his 22nd season. Michael Jordan played 15.
It's just one stat.
Why are we
One
doing?
stat of
The other day I brought up the
greatness.
buzzer beaters. Look, Michael Jordan outscored him 9-7 in buzzer beating game winners. But guess what? LeBron has played 7 more years. Can we stop?
This is how ESPN covered their most important league on the most important day of their regular season. And this is not new. This isn't some revelation. This substandard coverage of the NBA, it's been happening at ESPN for decades. Now, I will give Malika Andrews credit. She tried to keep things on track. She tried to steer the conversation to topics that viewers actually care about. But even with the assistance of Bob Myers, she could not stop this Titanic from sinking. Why would Adam Silver agree to 10 more years of this? Adam Silver had all the leverage because ESPN needs the NBA more than the NBA needs ESPN. Why would you subject your audience to 10 more years of this polished turd? There's rumors that ESPN is considering putting Stephen A. Smith on Inside the NBA. Why? Why would you put the masculine Mina Kimes on a show that is already perfected? Stephen A. Smith is an entertainer. He's not an analyst. Stephen A's great on First Take. He's great on YouTube, but he sucks covering the NBA. He sucks when ESPN forces him to cover the NFL or the UFC. He doesn't know enough about it because he's not watching it. Give me your thoughts on this. Biggest day of the NBA regular season, and ESPN humiliates the league with 12 hours of substandard coverage. Hell, it wasn't even substandard. It was garbage. Do you guys still rely on ESPN for sports coverage? Me personally, I get all my coverage, all my analysis here on YouTube. Does anyone still watch or rely on ESPN? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.